Good morning, around the Diamond family. We are back for another episode of ATD. As we do every Saturday, we are going to take you around the league and talk all things baseball. It is Grand Slam Sam, and I got my counterpart baseball Bill on with me. We're going to start the show. Baseball Bill, how are you doing on this beautiful Saturday?
You know what? It's Saturday. The Dodgers beat the Yankees yesterday. The Giants are fighting for fourth place. Life is good in this world. Like, I'm not going to complain.
We are half a game behind the Padres for third place. So take your fighting for actually scratch that. We are in third place. We're not fighting for fourth place. The Arizona Diamondbacks are a game behind us.
Half a
So,
game behind you, or a game behind you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. A game behind you.
no, a game. 8.5 games out of first. They are 9.5 games out. That's one game. It's okay. It's still early in the morning for Bill, so we can put math to the side for him. It's fine. It's fine.
Dun,
We're
dun,
gonna
dun,
start
dun,
this
dun,
off
dun,
a little
dun.
different than we've been starting it off recently. We're gonna take a step back and we're gonna go right into the standings this week.
Oh,
Looking
standings.
at
Let's
these
do it.
looking at these American League standings, Yankees are still dominating in the East. Best record in baseball, 45-20, 8-2 in their last 10. They are just unstoppable right now. There's been a little shakeup with Soto, though. Be on the lookout for something for him maybe being out a week, maybe 7 to 10 games DL, just so he can get this little thing fixed up he's got going on. But they are still rocking. Orioles are a couple of games behind, and the Red Sox, man, they were on a tear to start the season off. They have dropped the 500. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. We're going to talk about some trade talks a little bit and a little bit. Moving over to the Central, Guardians still leading that division, but the Royals do not sleep on them. That's going to be the sleeper team this year. You want to keep a lookout to the West. It is still a lackluster division to watch. It is a lackluster excitement to be around. Mariners leading over there 36-29, Rangers 30-33. Bill, what are your thoughts on this American League? Because it's not as exciting, I feel like, as we've seen in years past.
So, yeah, the Yankees are keeping the excitement up. Orioles are doing well, but the Red Sox are right there. The Red Sox are pitching well. And even though they're at 500, don't sleep on them for a wild card spot. They're fighting it out for a wild card spot. Right now, they would miss a wild card spot by a game, which is insane. Uh, Royals are duking that thing out. I still think that they're going to win that Central Division. Twins and Guardians are going to fight around. American League West is, like you say, it's a little lackluster right now. Little surprising that, the Astros are still where they're at. But the Mariners have put it into high gear. I want to say this, and I want to say this, and I'm going to look directly at everybody that's watching this. If you have a friend who's a White Sox fan, give them a hug. Give them a hug. Give them two hugs. Offer to buy them lunch, buy them dinner, whatever. Give them a pat on the panty. Tell them good game. These guys just got off of a 14-game losing streak. They're 16-48. They have the shot to lose 125 games. So if you know a White Sox fan, give them a hug. There's your public service announcement.
There's gonna be we're gonna talk about them in a little bit again. So just don't forget about that because there's a number of key pieces on that team that are just being wasted. So
Yep.
we'll have some conversations about the unfortunate Chicago White Sox debacle. It's almost like the second coming of the Chicago Massacre. I'm kidding, folks. Do not inbox me. Do not call me. I am joking. But the Chicago White Sox are getting murdered right now. Bill, take me through the National League
Oh, I'd love
because
to. Oh, I'd love to. The Philadelphia
Bill's to
Phillies
talk about the National League.
are still red hot. The Braves are holding their own, believe it or not, with all the injuries that they're having. The Nationals, Mets, and Marlins. Marlins, good luck next year. I still think the Mets have a shot for a wild card. They're going to creep up that division. They've got a really really good team. They're just not performing right now. Um, Watch out for the Reds. The Reds are making that as our good friend, ladies love Cool James or LO Cool J as he goes by. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. The Reds have been there. They are going to make their way into a wild card spot and or win that division. In the National League West, we already know that the 2024 world champion Los Angeles Dodgers are actually um, are actually leading that division. It's just a matter of time. It's just semantics. The Padres, I've been to a number of Padres games in the last 3 weeks. They're a really, really good team, but there's something that's missing, and I don't know why. Giants played really, really well. They hit a little bit of a skid. They're trying to make their way back. So are the Diamondbacks. Rockies, we'll see you next season. Sam, you tell me.
Well, first off, Phillies are just on fire. But what worries me, they end up being a better team playing later into the season as underdogs. So I'm very interested to see this, um, top, number one mentality and the way they're playing. If they can keep this type of mentality riding all the way through the rest of the season and into the postseason, they are going to be a dangerous team to watch in the postseason. But yet, the Braves holding their own with the injuries, but I see that starting to dip. And Mets, I am not looking at the Mets anywhere near the wild card conversation at this moment in time. I look at the Mets as sellers coming towards the trade deadline. They're not a team where I don't believe they're a team we're going to be talking about. But if I'm the Mets, I'm looking to sell, 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 and get some youth, because right now they are just not putting it together. They just aren't. I just they've come out, they've won 27 games, but they have not been the team thinking could make that push. Unlike moving over into the Central, where the Reds are the team that have been so up and down this season, I do see them making a playoff push and going towards the wild card. I think the division might be a little stretch for them, but I see the wild card as something that they can pull in for this year. And if not this year, they are going to make it a tough race for whoever in the Central is going to represent in that wild card picture. And moving over to the West, yes, they've been winning since the beginning of the season. Congratulations. Padres have been playing well, but they are in that middle of the road category. Giants, we hit a skid, but we are picking it back up, winning our last two games, one against the Diamondbacks and one against the Rangers. Marlins, Pirates, and Rockies. We will see you next year. But
So
that's my take on the National League.
by the way, Sam, we do have every Monday morning on in the leagues, we have what I call now the Blake Snell watch. When is he going to get his first win?
Well, he technically didn't get a loss in his last outing. So
His last two outings. But
yeah, he
I
didn't
think
get
his
losses. He just didn't get the win.
I
So
think his
better to just be undecided than anything.
yeah, I think he's 9.57 ERA. He's 0-3, and I think isn't he back on the IL?
He had a strain kind of came his abductor is starting to strain him a little bit, so they want to give him a little bit more rest. But the thing I'll say about Blake Snell is that he has come out and he has owned not being at spring training. He has owned that being a detriment into the start of his year for the Giants. And I think it has recognized him as saying, like, this is not something he can be doing in the future. I obviously see him staying with the Giants next year. I don't see him
Nobody
becoming a
wants him,
free
so
agent.
enjoy him.
But I think having having that full year, even if he has a great season, I see it being very. I don't see him going down the same signing path as he did this year in 2 years. I
Okay.
think if Scott Boras does what he did this year again to Blake Snell, he won't be a Blake Snell. He won't be Blake Snell's agent moving forward.
I know,
I
but
just don't.
Sam, just devil's advocate here. I mean, listen, you're from the East Coast. You're from Jersey. You understand this. It's really easy to own something when you're getting 32 mil tickets a year. I mean, when you're making over $2
Yeah,
million a month,
100%.
it's really easy to say, "Oh, don't worry about it. I feel bad. I love the city of San Francisco. They're amazing. The team's awesome." It's really easy to do that. You could do that. If you're making 32 million a year, you could own it. Doesn't matter.
If I was making 32 million a year, I'd be laying on a beach, a private beach, sipping margaritas and smoking a cubana.
There you go. There you go. What we
Uh,
got next on tap? Let's talk about
um,
statistics.
but look, let's talk about some stats.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some stats. Jorkson Profar is leading us in batting average this year. He has been a shining light for the Padres and a
Mhm.
consistent light for the Padres. So kudos to them. But don't also forget on the pitching side, you got Dylan Cease over there, looking right there on the bottom right with the uh, top with the number 4 leader in strikeouts this year. With nine about these RBI leaders and pitching leaders. I know you're typically our pitching guy, but I kind of touched on the strikeout leaderboard. But what about the RBI leaders? What's interesting about
So
that
the
that you're seeing?
RBI lead, this is crazy because these five guys will probably have over 100 RBIs this season. And Aaron Arson Judge, the former Giant slash Yankee, will probably end up with about 130. Jose Ramirez will probably end up with about 130. But then when you look at the leaderboard for strikeouts, um, Garrett, Glass now, all these guys have a shot. And Chris Sale, welcome back to the majors, Chris Sale. These guys are going to have between 200 and 250 strikeouts this season. And one of them, if they just pick it up into a little bit more high gear, one of them's got a shot for 300 outside shot. So Chris
Are
Sale
you
is,
talking about the guy at the top that
what's that?
you talking about this guy right here, Tyler Glass now?
I don't think he'll get 300, but I think Chris Sale can.
I mean, a 12 strikeout deficit to Glass now right now is a tough thing to pick
Remember,
up.
he had
I see Sale
13
getting close. I
strikeouts.
see Glass now getting closer.
Yeah, I he had 13 strikeouts in his last appearance. Chris Sale did, and Tyler Glass
Yeah,
now.
but you know as well as I know, getting over 10 strikeouts in multiple games in a season is
Oh,
a very difficult feat.
I used to do it all the time. We played 7 innings,
Oh yeah.
21 outs. I'd get 19 strikeouts out of the 21. Listen, it's
Oh
easy
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I'm just teasing. Yeah, no, you're right, though. You're right.
Yeah. Look, have the average. I mean, the average number of strikeouts, I believe, for a pitcher, a starting pitcher, is I believe 7 1/3
Mhm.
is the average number of strike around the average
Yeah.
number of strikeouts for a starting MLB pitcher. So the fact that you got these guys up here that in almost every outing they have, they are pitching 8.6 strikeouts per outing is
So
pretty impressive.
if you look at it this way, if let's just play the law of averages and let's just make one assumption. Let's assume that all five of these guys stay healthy and all five of these guys have 20 more starts and they just get 7 strikeouts per start. That's 140. That puts all of these guys over 200. All five of these guys over 200. And that puts Glass
Yep.
now someplace in the ballpark of 250. So,
Right.
I mean, Glass now and Garrett, I mean,
I
I
think we'll hit
watched
around. I think the max we'll hit is 275 this year. I think 300 is a stretch, but I think 275 is a reasonably top number for one of these guys to hit.
Sam, it just came in from the Top Fan Rivalry Sports Desk. Sam is saying, hold on, over under is 275 this year. Who's taking the over? Who's taking the under? Sam, I got the over on that one if you want to take the under.
I'll take the under. I'll take the under. I think we'll hit either right at 275 or just below
Yep.
it for whoever is the league as this year. But I think 300 is a stretch.
Yep.
I would love to see it. I just see it being just outside of the reach. But
Yep. Yep.
um, moving over to stolen bases this year, Ellie De La Cruz is still Superman. He is still Superman. Did you see the stolen base he had a couple? I think it was like 2 days ago. That I think anyone on the planet looking at that before the umpire called it was like, "There's no way he's going."
Yeah, I did.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. He's
I
insane.
mean, the things that this man does, I just don't get. I just don't. I'm befuddled.
See,
I'm
and
perplexed.
and here's the thing. Nobody's talking about Bobby Witt Jr. and nobody's talking about Bryson Stout. Bryson Stout is coming up huge for Philly, but nobody's talking about Bobby Witt Jr. This guy is really, really good. But just as much as uh, ESPN and MLB Network are East Coast bias, for some reason, nobody pays attention to Kansas City. This guy is really, 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 really good. Really good. So,
I think there are just a couple of pieces. I mean, look, Kansas City is second in the division in the Central. It's not like they are just, randomly there. They're in it. The problem is that he is. I think Bobby Witt's issue right now is he's playing. While he is really good, he's playing average. He's to the level that we all know he can play at. I see Bobby Witt Jr. as I think Bobby Witt Jr. should be at 25 stolen bases right now. I think 19 is low for him. I don't think he's playing well, but I think he could be playing a little bit better. And I think that's one of the reasons he's not being showcased as much as he should be. I mean, look, I'm pulling one. He's 23. This kid's got plenty of freaking time. Same with Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott is going to be a stud, but he's got 11, 17. He's got 17 stolen bases. If I'm someone and he's got 47 RBIs. When we look at the players that are those top tier players right now, and the only reason Ellie De La Cruz is in the leaderboard is because he's got 33 stolen bases. But if you look at all of his other stats, he's not. He's playing middle of the road. He's not a Mookie Betts right now. He's not a Freddie Freeman. He's not a Shohei. He's not an Aaron Judge. He's not a Juan Soto. They have their careers. Soto's been in the league for 7 years. He knows what to expect. Judge has been in the league for years. Mookie, look at the guys that have been in the league for years and see how they're playing the game. And then you look at a guy like Bobby Witt. You look at a guy like Bryson Stott. You look at an LA De La Cruz. They're doing all the right things now in the beginning stages of their career to be the superstars we all know they're going to be in the next 2 to 3 years.
probably, probably.
That's my opinion on it. I agree with you. Bobby Witt, Bryson Stott, and Ellie De La Cruz are the future of this league. They've still got 2 to 3 years before they become that face of the league. When you look at a Mookie, you look at an Aaron, a Shohei, they've already put and a Juan Soto, they've put their time in to be the face.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. I could talk. This is a conversation I'm sure Bill and I'll have again. We love to have these type of healthy debates. So be back for it. Looking at the home run leaderboard, 204 home runs in a week. Bill, talk to me about this because I just can't even
Um,
explain it. Just can't.
Aaron Judge is still doing Aaron Judge things. He will end this month with 30 home runs. Okay. He's so big, he's so strong. When he connects, it goes a long way. King Tuck has had a little bit of an injury
We saw
setback.
that in San Francisco. In less plate appearances, he had more home runs than he had in plate appearances in New York and had home runs. Just saying, throwing that out there.
Well, I mean, yes.
I mean, if he had gone to San Francisco, I'm sure he'd be a home run leader right now, especially being that he's a right-handed hitter. But everyone thought he wouldn't hit it hard. He wouldn't hit it out of the park. Just saying, throwing that out there, Arson, you made a mistake.
No, he didn't. He wants to play in October. Eh,
He'd be playing in October with the Giants at home, and his whole family would be able to see him for 82 games a year.
yeah, I don't know about that. But notice Jose Ramirez. Remember, he was on the RBI list as well. So he is. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun for him. So
Oh,
I
I'm
like
sorry.
this.
The next coming year,
What's that?
the next coming of Barry Bonds, Jose Ramirez.
Barry, I swear, I didn't take
Did you
steroids,
not hear that?
Bonds.
Did you not hear that? Did you not hear that comment? He got up, he got walked, and then he came out after a game and said, "I'm better than Barry Bonds."
Oh,
And I had to look at that. And even before Barry Bonds, the whole steroid thing, Jose Ramirez wouldn't be able to touch Barry Bonds with a football length field pole to how good he was. Barry Bonds was up there in one of the top 10 best baseball players of all time before the steroid thing even came out. He was up there with Ken. He was a generational player. So
so
I felt greatly I actually felt greatly offended when Jose Ramirez actually came out and said that. And I'm not saying I am pro Barry Bonds, so I will be pro Barry, but for as an for a Cleveland Indian to come out and say that you could compete with Barry Bonds, if you put those two in a home run derby, Barry would wipe the floor with them. Sorry.
so Jose, first of all, he's a Cleveland Guardian. He's not an Indian.
Oh, Guardian. I'm sorry.
As much as I hate that. Anyways, no, I get it. I get it. I mean, Barry took steroids. Jose's trying to do it without it, but I get it. I get it. Jose will end his career. Believe it or not, Jose will probably end his career with 400 home runs. Um, he's got
But would you
233.
would you put Jose Ramirez in the same anywhere
No,
near the same category as Barry Bonds?
no,
As
no,
much as you don't like Barry because he was a giant,
no.
you
I
know,
wouldn't. I
take
wouldn't put him in the same category. No, 100%. Now, would their numbers? Now, I'm not going to lie to you here, Sam. Would their numbers be somewhat identical at the end of their careers had Barry not juiced it up? And stayed the skinny Barry that he was in Pittsburgh? Probably because I think Barry would have ended up around 450 with his home run total. Um,
I think he would have been put. I think he would have been. Barry has always been a great contact hitter. Even before the steroid thing, when he was in Pittsburgh, he was a phenomenal contact hitter. I think he probably would have ended up closer to 500, 550, maybe even 600, pushing that mark. I think 450 would have been very, I think 450 with the length of his career would have been very low for him. But I think when you look at everything he did, all the stats, Barry would blow Jose Ramirez out of the water
probably, probably.
instantaneously. Let's go into the injury report real quick. It's a short injury report, thankfully. Thank God. Only one person, only three people this week came out for the season. Unfortunately, Goslin is out for the season. We know that was announced earlier this year, hopped back up into the hopper. But any of these injuries really going to be impactful for any of these teams?
Yes, Christian Javier. Christian Javier is them being out like literally the Astros turn around and everybody's getting Tommy John, Tommy John, Tommy John. I joked about it at the beginning. I almost wonder if the Astros organization has like a buy five get one free, because everybody seems to be getting Tommy John. So yes, that's very very impactful. Besides for that, I think
Yeah.
yeah, and Tony Gonsolin being out, it's fine.
We talk about the trade deadline, and we don't have a lot of time left, so we're going to touch on this real quickly. But we've got the trade deadline is about a month and a half, 2 months away. But this is the time when the conversation really heats up. So these are the 8 teams that Bill and I talked about over the week as going to be the biggest teams to be buyers and sellers. So, Bill, out of these 8 teams, which team needs to be the biggest seller,
White Sox.
and which team needs to be the
White
But
Sox.
which one?
White Sox is the biggest seller. They're 16-48 at recording. They just won last night, taking them off of a 14-game losing streak. Like I said, if you know a White Sox fan, give them a hug. Give her a hug, buy them lunch, buy them dinner, buy them an apartment. I don't care. Just make sure that they feel a little comfortable
I think
because
buying him an apartment's a pretty far stretch for White Sox
let me
fans.
give
I'm
you
not.
Sam's credit card number. Buy him an apartment. It's good.
There
Um,
is nothing on it. Pay the debt, then you can buy the apartment.
the other seven teams are buyers. The other seven teams are buyers because the white, or I'm sorry, the real quickly, Seattle needs to maintain that lead. The Orioles need to maintain that lead. The Red Sox are right there. The Cubs and the Reds are like right there, and they're going to duke it out until the end of the season. Um, the Giants and the Padres need another piece because on the Blake Snell watch that I have, he still hasn't gotten his first win yet as a Giant. The Giants and San Diego need something because guess what? The wild card is probably not going to come out of the West in either division in the American League or the National League. It's probably not coming out of the West. So it's either win or go home or start to win a lot of games and push that factor. Because right now, if the season ended today, the Padres would make the wild card, but I think by a game. And so
There is so I was looking at it actually before we were talking. And if you look at the wild card picture right now for the National League, there is a the Braves would get the first wild card, the Padres would get the second, and there is a four-way tie between three of the teams on this list and the Cardinals
yeah,
for the third. And the four-way tie is between the Cardinals, the Giants, the Reds, and the Cubs. Those are the
all
four
of which
teams
are under 500.
that would technically all get the third. Be a playoff. Yeah, so there would be a playoff. There would be a two-round playoff. There would be a Cubs. It would probably be the Cubs, Reds, Giants, Cardinals, and then the winner of each of those games would play them each other to get the third wild card spot, and then they would then have to go into the wild card series. So it's a whole nightmare. And when I'm looking
It's
at
a whole
this
thing.
list, yeah, but when I'm looking at this list, I 1,000% agree with you. The White Sox are the biggest sellers on this entire list. The only other team I could actually see being sellers, bigger or possibly even with the White Sox, in all honesty, is the Miami Marlins. I see the Marlins being sellers also, and I know they didn't make this list, but they are at the bottom of the barrel, and they got a number of good key players on that team that they could trade for great value
They
youth
just did with the
players.
Padres.
But I'm saying there's more. I think there's more
No, I
players
agree.
than the Marlins could trade to get more. Honestly, like Jack, I know Chisholm is a cornerstone of that team right now, but at the same time, he's going to be coming up for a contract extension soon. And if you can get three or four good young guys for a phenomenal multi versatile Jazz Chisholm on any team, I don't think that would be a bad trade. On this list, I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to say the Giants are the biggest buyers. There are, I think there is a starting pitching piece. Take the starting pitching piece away because we still do have Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb that should be coming back from injury within the next month and a half. So when they come back, that will drastically change the way our starting lineup looks, our starting pitching rotation. So I want to hold off on the starting pitching for us until then. But there we do have a need in the outfield and a bat. So I can see that being a big need and a big focal point at the trade deadline for the Giants. But I agree.
Okay.
I think every team on this list succeeds to put them over the edge. Um, we will talk more about the trade deadline as we go on. But Bill, take me through your podcast schedule for this week because it
Podcast
is
schedule.
top
Pretty
notch.
simple. Brian, former NYPD guy, retired NYPD guy, is a Mets fan. He's on Monday. Tuesday's Junior. He's a returning guest, Astro fan. Tiana is another returning guest who is a Mets fan. And then you got Liz, welcome to the clubhouse, Orioles fan, Dustin, Padres fan, who I met in I met him in Vegas when we were out there recently.
Nuts. And what about the in the leagues?
In the leagues, a little light this week. We're still trying to confirm things. We got Jen, a Dodgers fan. Would you rather Wednesday? We'll have a guest on for there. Toby, Yankees fan, and Mets Meg slash Phillies Meg slash Nationals Meg slash whatever we want to tease her about Meg. Yeah, it's a good
Every
time.
other National League East team except the Mets.
There you go.
National League East except Mets Med.
Braves
That's what we're
Meg.
going to start calling them now. Braves Med, Phillies Med.
There
Every
you go.
week now, I'm just going to change this
So
up, and it's going to be anything other than the Mets.
So, Sam, just real quick, for those that haven't heard, there's been an update for the locker room. You can actually join the community for as little as $25 with the discount code of what?
ATD in all capital letters.
That takes
Not
it
only is
down
it
10%.
$25, I was going to say it takes it down to like 22 bucks and change
Yeah.
for some of the most amazing fan created baseball content you will find anywhere on the web. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you need to jump off of YouTube. You need to go to your web browser, type in TopFanRivalry.com, click on Locker Room in the top, and you need to type in ATD for that promo code when you go to sign up. And if you're not doing that today, I don't know what else you're doing. Have to throw the baseball around and see a game. Acceptable. But when you get home, make sure you get to TopFanRivalry.com. Sign up for the locker room. Use that code ATD. It'll get you 10% off the phenomenal price point of $25. It'll bring it down to 22 bucks. And you can get all of the best fan-made, fan-involved baseball content there is to see. As always, make sure you're checking out TopFanRivalry.com. If you're already a member, for new articles, new podcasts, and new merch that's coming out, there is a lot that's going to be going on TopFanRivalry.com over the next 2 months. You are not. Bill, any final words for the fans out there?
Go fight, win, enjoy the week. A lot of good baseball.
Make it happen. As we love to say here, we will see you on the field next week, and thanks for joining.
Yep.